Hey y'all, Tiffany Boyd here with Free Your Children. If you are tuning in, I hope that you can hear me. Please let me know by sending me a comment, leaving a comment, or sending me a message that the audio is good. I wanted to jump on here for just a few minutes tonight to make some clarifications about the Free Act, our bill, the Free Act. I have issued a statement hoping to clarify some information about this bill. And I hope that you all have had an opportunity to read the bill in its entirety so that you can better understand what we are trying to accomplish. So, the intent of the Free Act is to create a separate and distinct category of homeschooling. The intent of the Free Act is to remain free from government regulation and government funding. And so that is a big piece of the puzzle here that I think that some people are not understanding, is that this particular separate and distinct category of homeschooling that we are hoping to see recognized with this piece of legislation is to set us aside from all of the other categories of homeschooling. And this particular category of homeschooling would not be a category that would be accepting government funding. It cannot be guaranteed that a homeschool family accepting government funds would not be required to follow the rules and guidelines set forth by school choice programs. And we here at Free Your Children do not believe that any families accessing government school funds or utilizing those school choice funds should not have accountability measures. We believe that anyone accepting government monies to educate their children should have accountability measures in place. So, participating in any government school choice program means the requirements of the Every Student Succeeds Act, which is federal law, must be instituted. This means all education must be aligned to the same post-secondary readiness standards as laid out in the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. It's important to note that the state of Tennessee has received over $1 billion in federal funds. And when you choose to utilize government monies, you need to realize that those funds are attached to federal money. So there is no way to implement a program that would allow families to take those dollars without having strings attached because of the Every Student Succeeds Act, which again is federal law. So when we first started considering what we could do in the state of Tennessee to protect homeschool freedoms, it was a constitutional amendment. As a matter of fact, I've said this before. I've done multiple radio shows about this. I have written about this, but we also have an audio of our particular meeting with Representative Scott Sapicki back during 2024. We actually met with Representative Sapicki to discuss a constitutional amendment that would protect our rights as, or recognize, I don't want to say protect, but recognize our rights as homeschoolers in our Constitution. We knew that that was going to be a very, very lengthy process. This isn't something that happens in one legislative session. It's not something that happens in a year. It can take upwards of 6 years to accomplish a constitutional amendment. So we already knew that school choice funding, the Scholarship Act, vouchers, whatever you want to call the program, was going to be implemented in Tennessee. We knew that it was just going to be a matter of time. So we decided that what we were going to do is we were going to write a piece of legislation that would create a separate and distinct category of homeschooling that would exclude that category from utilizing any government school choice funds. We knew that that needed to be done immediately as we continue to work toward a long-term goal. So that was one thing that we set out to accomplish with the Free Act was to make sure that we were setting apart a separate and distinct homeschooling category while leaving all the others intact. So that if there was a family that chose to utilize voucher funds or scholarship funds or ESA funds, whatever they decided to title them in the future, they would have the ability to do that, and they would not be lumped in to this category that we have created with this Free Act. The reason why we did that is because we know the ultimate goal is to be able to swallow up the homeschool community in this school choice initiative that is sweeping across the nation. So we wanted to remain separate and distinct from the homeschool families who could potentially choose to utilize that funding. Now, here at Free Your Children, we are not new to the fight against school choice. We have been warning about this for years and years, and we have not deviated from our stance on this. We came out strong years ago against school choice, and we have maintained that same position. So we spoke to a multitude of other states. If you have followed me for any length of time, you know that my ministry has dedicated itself to being able to network with states all across the U.S. who are fighting the same battles that we're fighting and maybe even fighting bigger battles, and to glean from them and to make sure that what we're doing in our home state of Tennessee offers the most protection for the homeschooling community. So we didn't do this as an island unto itself. We had many discussions with leaders in other states across the United States and had deep discussions with them about what would be the best thing that we could do to make sure that we are doing everything we can to protect the homeschooling community in our home state of Tennessee. And so someone approached me with this question recently. They said, how would vouchers affect homeschoolers who don't want government money? Well, the problem is if you're all lumped into one category, you're going to get swallowed up no matter if you take the money or not. So that is the reason why the Free Act was drafted. That's the reason why it was important for us to do this. And so the concern and some clarifications that I want to make is that first, I think that there was some information that was put out there that the Free Act doesn't remove accountability. And I want to clarify that and say it does effectively, or it doesn't remove government regulation. What you need, if you've read the Free Act, you will see for that separate and distinct category, it absolutely does remove government regulation. It does effectively remove government regulation for those who choose to homeschool, again, like I said, underneath the new separate and distinct category that would be created under the Free Act. It would also mean that homeschoolers in that category would not qualify for potential homeschool monies, vouchers, if they were offered to the homeschool community in the future. We did that for a reason, okay? And so, but if they chose to utilize vouchers, they could then register in one of the already existing homeschool categories and use that money in those particular categories that they were registered under. So that would be the remaining or the existing categories that we have right now, Category 1, Category 2, and Category 3. So they just would not be able to choose this option of homeschooling that we are hoping to accomplish, which is a separate and distinct category. Now, so the House Joint Resolution that all of these discussions have been swirling around, I will say that a House Joint Resolution in and of itself is not a bad idea. That's what we were working on in 2024. The issue with the House Joint Resolution that is very concerning is the fact that it points out that it would effectively be lumping all homeschoolers into one category, which is exactly what the Free Act is trying to prevent from happening. Because it says, if you are reading the HJR 92, it says that by adding the following language, and then it points out, the rights defined herein shall not be forfeited or waived by the acceptance of any publicly funded education, scholarship, grant, stipend, or voucher provided by the state or any political subdivision thereof. We, as a homeschool community that Free Your Children represents, do not want to be lumped into any category of homeschooling that would choose to utilize vouchers. That is the reason, again, that we decided to draft this piece of legislation that would set us apart as a separate and distinct homeschooling category or option that would no longer be eligible to accept any type of voucher funding. And I'm getting messages that are sent to me. Let's see. Okay, so currently there are 3 categories of options of homeschooling in the state of Tennessee. So the FREE Act would set aside a separate and distinct category for homeschoolers that would not be accepting government funding. So I want everyone to understand that. And with the FREE Act, if you've actually read it, and I have it right here in my hand, and I've gone over this, multiple times, so you can go back and watch other videos that I have shared, on this. But this is a complete and total freedom bill for homeschoolers. And so it's very important that we understand the difference of desiring to be a separate total category, and instead of lumping what we're trying to accomplish into a category with homeschoolers that could potentially choose to take voucher funding if it is afforded to them. So that's the big issue between the House Joint Resolution and the bill, which is the FREE Act. We are 2 totally separate things. And I think that it's important for people to understand that. I'm looking to see if there is anything else that I want to make sure that I include in this. You need to know that a constitutional amendment requires a House vote. Plus, it would then go on a ballot vote, and it's not a timely process. And right now, what we are attempting to do is to address current regulation over homeschooling via the FREE Act. Because it's a long process for a constitutional amendment. So I hope that clears up some of the miscommunication about all of this. I have a stack of information here in front of me to share. If anyone, has questions that they need clarified, again, reach out. I'll be happy to try to answer those questions. But we do not want to be lumped into any type of category where there would be homeschoolers that would choose to take voucher funding, because there is absolutely no way that you could guarantee that those families would not have to follow the guidelines and the requirements set forth by those programs in and of themselves. Remember that this is a federal issue because of the Every Student Succeeds Act. Which is, again, federal law. And I think it's really important for people to understand where those voucher monies, education scholarship monies, where those monies actually come from. So I hope that clarified some questions that you may have. Again, if you have questions, please send them to me, and I will try to get those answered. I can't see the questions in the chat. But again, if you have anything that you would like for me to specifically address, I would be happy to do that. But right now, we are working hard to protect freedoms in the homeschool community here in Tennessee. And we know and understand that the FREE Act is a piece of legislation that could offer us immediate freedoms and set us aside, again, as a separate and distinct category from any other homeschool category that may choose to utilize vouchers if it is extended to them, which we know that it will, because they've made that clear throughout this entire fight over the years that is exactly, the goal. So we already have our video uploaded on Rumble. If you are interested and you would like to hear the conversations that we had with Representative Scott Sapicki about a constitutional amendment back in 2024, we will drop that link to that Rumble video where you can listen. if you choose to, and you can hear, what some of our conversations were there. But this is something that we have been working on for quite some time. But we knew, again, as I said, that vouchers were going to pass more than likely. We've been watching this unfold all across the nation, and we knew that we were going to need something that was going to immediately address homeschool freedoms in the state of Tennessee. Plus, I have said for years and years, this is our families. We are in the middle of our 21st year of homeschooling. And I have said for a long time that homeschools in the state of Tennessee needed to get out from underneath the private school category. We are watching states who consider homeschooling as private schools get swallowed up into all of these school choice initiatives. And that is another reason why we wanted to draft the Free Act and why we are working so hard to get that passed. Because if the Free Act does pass into law, then homeschoolers that register under that category would no longer be considered a private school. And that's a big piece of this puzzle that you need to be aware of as well. So I hope this clarifies and answers some questions. But again, the Free Act is a completely different animal in that we do not want to be included in a pot with any homeschoolers who may choose to utilize voucher funding at any point. So I wanted to clear up the information about that. And again, if you have questions that you would like to send to me, I would be happy to address those the best that I can. And I would ask you to contact your legislators and ask them to vote yes on the Free Act. We will be traveling up to Cordell Hull to speak with legislators soon about supporting this bill. We want to thank those that have sponsored the bill and also signed on as co-sponsors. I want to thank everyone who truly supports freedom for the homeschool community and for parents in the state of Tennessee. And if you check out our website, we've already made some, and we are making more adjustments to our website. There's a section now on the website designated for the Free Act. And so we will continue to be working hard to hopefully make this a reality in the state of Tennessee so that we will be joining the other 11 states who already have more homeschool freedoms recognized than Tennessee does. So again, we're working hard, and reach out to me if you have questions. And thank you so much, and have a great day.